Hi, welcome to the second trial site we've got down in the southwest. This is up at Holsworthy. It's a completely different kind of environment to what we've got down in South Cornwall. We've got 12 varieties under trial here, all fairly similar to ones we've got down in South Cornwall. The exception is we haven't got Robigus, Oakley, Devon and Duxford in this trial, but we have got JB Diego down the bottom. Trials, these strips went in early part of October, combination drill. It wasn't the best weather. It actually rained in the morning while the contractor here was drilling them. So yeah, it puddled in a bit. The ground is wet. It is not the best site for growing wheat. And this area up in the north, heavy clay, wet ground, wouldn't be your ideal environment for growing wheat, but this is you know, the sort of the situation we have up in the Holsworthy area, North Devon. And so if you're going to put a trial in, you're going to test them, and this is as good a place to test them as in adverse conditions. So we'll start off here with the Zy19. Zy19 up the top, well forward as you would expect, it's looking very nice. Obviously in the wet patches up there, you know, it's a bit thin at the stand, but generally, nope, it's looking very good. Except a bit behind, but it's what you'd expect. It's a slower grower. Einstein's looking pretty good. Bit poorer down that end there. Panorama, this is a variety which I'm hoping is going to do fairly well. It's quite a vigorous starter. Looking very pleasing so far. Claire, old stalwart. It's been on the market. It's been on the list for 10 years. So it's a very popular variety down here, especially for whole crop. So it'll be interesting to see how this does. Invicta, the new Group 3, again. Be interesting to see how this performs in this kind of environment and climate. Alchemy is a very popular growing variety in this area. It's got a very good disease score. It's a slow starter. Doesn't really like going in these sort of climatic conditions. As you can see, it's looking a bit behind the rest, but it does tiller very well to compensate, and that's, you know, it produces a good straw as well. So again, interesting to see how this goes. Edmonds. Be interesting to see how this one comes along. It's a bit shorter than Alchemy, but it's a very good yielder. Isterbrack, it's a very vigorous late sown variety. Again, did very well in this neck of the woods last year, so it'll be good to see how it does here alongside all these other varieties. Cassius, it's another variety, does fairly well as a second wheat. Gravitas, the new variety which is in the RL trialing stage. Sahara, the variety does very well up around Exeter. Be interesting to see how it copes on these soils out here. Stigg, dairy farmer's wheat, as I'd like to call it. It's got a robust disease profile, so in theory up here where we've got 60 inches of rainfall a year, Septoria pressure is high, this variety should do very well with a rating of 8. But again, it does take a long time to get going, so we'll see. Also the bushel weight or specific weight will be interesting to see how it compares on this site and location with all the other varieties we've got here. JB Diego is the last variety. We've got 2 stripes here. Becoming very popular in this neck of the woods. We don't know a lot about its pedigree. Last year it didn't yield any more really than the Alchemy or the Isterbrack, but it seems to be, you know, gaining quite a strong following down the southwest. It does have a good bushel weight, but then, you know, it's a very, very similar variety to Alchemy. But I've heard reports that people say it does take a long time to dry down. before, you know, it doesn't come down or back down to sort of 15% quickly. So yeah, be interesting to see how it does this year. Again, this was the stripe you can see here where we carried on drilling. This is alchemy, and yeah, it looks a bit sad. This is a very wet, dank, sort of heavy part of the field. But then as soon as you get over onto the lighter ground on the edge there, it's all perky, happy as can be. So yeah, good test. It's not going to be anything fantastic, probably not as good a site by any means as the site we've got in South Cornwall, but you know, Bill Angus, who's our wheat breeder, said he wanted a good site which would put pressure on these plants, because the site at Exeter, he feels, doesn't really give them enough of a hammering with Septoria. So it'll be interesting to see how they do where we've got a strip going through the middle. We'll have a strip going through the middle which will be untreated, so it'll be interesting to see how they cope with Septoria. More to follow once they've come through the winter.